Good morning. I am Joe Romeo, President of the UCE Board of Trustees. Welcome. Whether the Unitarian Church of Evanston is your spiritual home or you are seeking comfort and connection in uncertain times, we are grateful you are with us. We are an inclusive and welcoming community, seeking truth in love and striving to nurture the human spirit for a world made whole. We are guided by our principles and values, which remind us in every moment and through every challenge that each of us matters and that we are all connected through the vast and beautiful web of existence. Together, let us remember our oneness, our kinship with one another, and may we hold one another in heart and mind with tenderness and careful attention. There are many links of connection in the comments section, including credits for the readings, to virtual religious education, for donations, and to be added to our email newsletter list. A few announcements. The all-church Zoom meeting will continue on the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month at 5:30. We'll send a reminder email in the early afternoon on Wednesday with the link. We'll hold a virtual coffee and conversation after this service for 30 minutes on Zoom. You can find the link in the comments below or from the newsletter. Interested in relaxation, better health, or a spiritual practice? Try Tai Chi. Renee Gatsis will lead a Tai Chi demonstration information session this Saturday, August 28th at 11 in the sanctuary. You can sign up using the link in the newsletter. Our annual ingathering will be on Sunday, September 12th at 10:15. Please note the time change. On this Sunday, you may choose to participate in person or online, our first truly multi-platform service. Whichever way you and your family choose to participate, we hope you'll bring with you water, symbolic or actual, from whatever adventures you've engaged in this summer, in your yard, at the lake, across the country. Where have you found nourishment for your soul this summer? Let us gather the waters of that font and bless our community on September 12th. And now, I invite you to get your chalices ready, set a place for yourself and your family as we join in beloved community.
A quote from African-American author Toni Morrison. "What I cannot face is living without my art. I come from a group of people who have always refused to live that way. In the fields, we would not live without it. In chains, we would not live without it. And we lived historically in the country without everything, but not without our music, not without our art." Welcome to worship. The Unitarian Church of Evanston sits on stolen lands, the traditional and current homelands of the Council of the Three Fires, the Odawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi nations. Many other tribes, such as the Miami, Menominee, Ho-Chunk, Sac, and Fox, have and continue to call this area home. We name these in honor and respect for the land, all the animals and plants that have lived on and through the land, and all the people who have been and remain a part of the earth. Our shared faith calls us to name these as one small effort toward greater accountability, deeper relationship, and mutuality with our ancestors and descendants.
As we light our chalice, symbol of our living tradition, please join in saying these words by the 13th century Sufi poet and mystic Jalal al-Din Rumi, translated by Coleman Barks. We have fallen into the place where everything is music. The strumming and the flute notes rise into the atmosphere, and even if the whole world's harp should burn up, there will be hidden instruments playing, so the candle flickers and goes out. We have a piece of flint and a spark.
Please join in saying the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please join in hymn number 368, Now Let Us Sing. And you may want to stand up because you'll feel like dancing.
Good morning. I'm Kristen Lems, and I'm going to share some words about the power of music and then sing a song with you. Whether it's through a kitchen radio, in our earbuds, a Bluetooth in a car, singing in the shower, for key rites of passage, or even as ear candy in our dentist's office, music is the soundtrack of our lives. In fact, it is our human superpower. All human cultures make music. In fact, music preceded Homo sapiens. Flutes have been found around Neanderthal campfires. Folk songs handed down through oral tradition contain a rich library of knowledge and biocultural memory connecting us to local ecologies. Making music and even listening to music lights up vast areas of the brain. Researcher Gottfried Schlaug at Harvard puts it well: I would challenge anybody to come up with another activity that engages as much real estate in the brain as music making. Music and song are critical to a baby's language development. Motherese, the exaggerated sing-songy speech directed to infants, helps create the bond between infant and mother or caregiver. In addition to bonding us and calming us, music makes learning more pleasurable because it makes fewer cognitive demands than language alone, reducing stress. Music lessons correlate with higher academic achievement. Part of this is explained by the habits of persistence and focus that we need to learn a piece of music. When musicians and singers practice their part in an ensemble, they also refine the ability to focus on their own part while hearing sounds around them. Even decades later, seniors who have had musical training are better able to make out speech in noise, giving better access to social interaction. In one study, group drumming during lunch period while calling out positive messages helped adolescents overcome depression in only 12 weeks. Why? Because music is cool. Low-income high school students who had 2 years of group music classes showed dramatic improvement in grades and college admissions, confirming that high school students whose families cannot afford private music lessons can derive enormous benefit from group musical training. Why does music have such a positive effect on learning? According to researchers, put simply, when we are more curious, we are more motivated. When we are more motivated, we pay more attention. And when we pay more attention, we're more likely to learn new things. What about older adults? Research by Chorus America found that singing in a chorus made older members feel more optimistic, mindful, and resilient, and less left out. Nothing can stop music, not even a pandemic. Choirs practice online, music lessons occur on Zoom, musicals are created, and we enjoy virtual music performance. Despite missing the palpable excitement of hearing music in the same physical space, we find ways to do music together. In fact, virtual music eliminates travel time, allows us to attend events far from home, and lets us connect with distant teachers, conductors, coaches, and audiences. However music plays out in your life, it is there as a faithful friend. Music is our ancient, no-cost, infinitely renewable human endowment, truly the gift that keeps on giving. And now I will pick up my guitar, and together we will create and sing a song. All right, those of you who are watching and putting chat in the chat area, you may put chat to show new verses you would like us to sing together. The name of the song is Music in My Family's House. It's an original American hymn that used to be called Music in My Father's House. We're going to open that up a little bit. So Music in My Family's House goes like this. I'll give you a model of a verse. There'll be joy, joy, joy in my family's house. In my family's house, oh, in my family's house. There'll be joy, joy, joy in my family's house. And there'll be peace, sweet peace. So you're going to say what is in your family's house, probably 1 or 2 words, not more. And Reverend Eileen will convey those to me as she reads the chat. And I'll have one transitional verse while we start to see some of the chat appear. And the transitional verse, which I hope you'll sing with me, goes, "There'll be room for everybody in my family's house." There'll be room for everybody in my family's house. In my family's house, oh, in my family's house. There'll be room for everybody in my family's house, and there'll be peace, sweet peace. Oh, that was some beautiful harmony from those who are in the room right now. What do we have, Reverend Eileen? Do we have a new verse? All right. Lots of toys. Sing it with me. There'll be lots of toys in my family's house. In my family's house, oh, in my family's house. There'll be lots of toys in my family's house, and there'll be peace, sweet peace. Here's another one, plants. Let's hear you. There'll be lots of plants in my family's house. In my family's house, oh, in my family's house. There'll be lots of plants in my family's house, and there'll be peace, sweet peace. Beautiful, love that idea. Okay, love, lots of love. Wherever you are, sing it out. There'll be lots of love in my family's house. In my family's house, oh, in my family's house. There'll be lots of love in my family's house, and there'll be peace, sweet peace. Close harmony. It's a little longer, we can do this. There'll be lots of close harmony in my family's house. In my family's house, oh, in my family's house. There'll be lots of close harmony in my family's house, and there'll be peace, sweet peace. We'll take one more verse and then we'll go back to joy, joy, joy. Large dogs, are you ready? There'll be lots of large dogs in my family's house. In my family's house, oh, in my family's house. There'll be lots of large dogs, woof, in my family's house, and there'll be peace, sweet peace, joy. There'll be joy, joy, joy in my family's house. In my family's house, oh, in my family's house. There'll be joy, joy, joy in my family's house, and there'll be peace, sweet peace.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kristen, and thank you for all those who contributed to the chat. Sorry I wasn't able to get all of those. There were some really fun additions there, so be sure to read through those. This is the time in our service when we share joys and sorrows that are on our hearts and on our minds. And as we know, there are many. There are many within this room. There are many beyond our walls. There are many in the world at large. It is a difficult time, and yet there is still joy. There is still a possibility of peace, and there's still reasons to hope. These are the joys and the sorrows that have been submitted through the Google form found on our website. It's on the homepage, and you can also always send me an email if you have a joy or a sorrow that you would like to include in a Sunday morning worship. Just send that to me or Reverend Susan Francis on Sunday morning before 9 or 10 a.m. if possible. I only have one this morning, and this is from Jordan Strieber, who shared this joy. They write, "I have a surgery date scheduled September 10th at noon. Thank you to everyone who has been making food. I promise to write proper thank you notes when I feel better." And we hope that that happens very, very soon. In the practice of beloved community, we hold these tender offerings of joy and sadness, those spoken and unspoken. Let's take a moment of quiet now to read to ourselves the joys and sorrows that have been added to the chat. We hold these together in care. Together we expand our celebrations and lessen the burden of our grief. I invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, breath of love, song of liberation, move through our bodies, minds, and souls. Join us in a hymn of praise for the beauty all around us. Give us strength and courage to meet the struggles of the day. Remind us of our inseparable oneness with each other and all of life. Help us to know that we are worthy and whole. May we face the injustices of life, the harm we cause and which others cause us, with the hope of redemption and reconciliation. May we be well. May all beings be well. May there be peace.
As we say in our covenant each Sunday, service is our law. UCE is called by our mission, values, and principles to contribute to our community, to form accountable partnerships, and to express gratitude through giving. Today's offering will be shared with BLUU, whose mission is expanding the power and capacity of Black UUs within our faith, providing support, information, and resources for Black UUs and justice-making and liberation through our faith. You can text to give, send in a check, or give from our website. If you send in a check, please indicate in the memo line if your check is for the shared offering, pledge, capital campaign, or some other giving. Please give as generously as you are able, and may what you give bring you joy.
Ever since Darwin introduced the theory of evolution, scientists have been wondering why we humans developed music, and I have also wondered about this question in the course of my thinking about evolutionary theory. This is a pretty mysterious phenomenon. Indeed, there are some scientists, like Steven Pinker, who think that music has played no role in our evolution. It is just a byproduct of our overall development. I don't agree with this. One reason I don't agree with this is that music turns up in every human culture that has ever existed, even among those that try to suppress it. This points to some very deep roots for music in human history, and this is supported by archaeological evidence. The very first musical instrument found in a cave in Slovenia is a bone flute over 40,000 years old. There is a NOVA program from 2014 that explored 7 reasons why we evolved to love music. Among the reasons are, 1, to get the girl. Although sexual selection has happened in humans as well as other species, think birdsong, I don't think it has much of a role here. 2, to keep in sync. When humans started to walk on 2 legs, those that walked in rhythm with each other may have had the advantage of being able to hear other noises that didn't line up with the sounds they were making, from predators or from nearby prey or competitors. I like this theory because I believe music started with rhythm and dance and eventually got to melodies and harmonies. 3, to identify your tribe. According to this theory, music evolved from coordinated territorial defense signals that are common among many social species, including chimpanzees and coyotes. I especially like this theory as it connects to our tribal roots, which still influence so much of human behavior. There is also a connection between physics and music when we examine the sound waves that make up music. When you pluck a guitar string, you can literally see the standing waves that makes the tone coming out of your guitar. And all of us in the choir wait to hear the instant when a chord locks in. It becomes a real physical thing. One more point about the physics of music. In many cultures, maybe a majority of cultures, the most popular music has a 1-4-5 chordal structure. There's another theory that music evolved concurrently with language. This model argues that music emphasizes sound as emotive meaning, and language emphasizes sound as referential meaning. Languages that still display this combination of music and words include the tonal languages of Thai and Cantonese. Other so-called pitch accent languages, like Serbo-Croatian and Japanese, also depend somewhat on intonation. There's also the real possibility that music originally evolved for one or more of the above reasons, but modern evolution of music has changed to some other reasons, like that it just feels good to experience music, especially with others, sometimes many others. This is another one of the reasons posited by the NOVA program, to convey emotions that cannot be put into words. Indeed, many musicians experience flow, that joyful state of immersion when time seems to disappear. I suspect there may be multiple reasons for the evolution of music, maybe changing over time. I'm certainly glad that music exists, as it is one of the chief sources of joy in my life.
I have actually spent my life in music making. For years, I thought that I found music. But in preparing these comments today, this week I came to realize music found me. And it was through so many individuals. I grew up in a faith community in our small town in Texas. Mommy took me to the cherub choir when I was 3, for the 3-year-olds. I'm still singing. At 5, she bought me a piano. I studied with a church pianist. I've never stopped playing. I'm so grateful that I grew up in a faith-based community, which of course is so wonderful about UCE. And I've been so moved by the families as I've watched from home our services this year who have been singing on camera with their children. And I know how much their lives will be transformed as mine was. There was a little song that I've never forgotten that they taught us in church. Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world, red and yellow, black and white. They are precious in his sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world. I thought at some point in my life, if it's good enough for Jesus, that's good enough for me. Because I grew up in a typical Texas town, everyone pretty much looked like me. Except when the Cuban minister of a Spanish mission, ministering to migrant workers coming through to work crops from Mexico, said, I need you to come. You have a lot more education and you can sing. Would you mentor the 16-year-olds that I have? It was amazing. When I was in grade 5, the music teacher said to me and my best girlfriend, you two need to start singing duets. We ended up singing all over the county at invitations until we went our separate ways to different colleges. That was amazing to think about. The first job I had out of graduate school in Austin, Texas, was teaching at an African Methodist Episcopal college. Who invited me? My dear friend Aldrich, who was a fabulous tenor, 20 years my senior. He happened to be African American and Cherokee with those high cheekbones to be a great tenor. He said one day as we were graduating, I want you to come and teach my sopranos how you have learned to sing. Each of these experiences have led me to meet, love, work with people so unlike myself with different life experiences. I would never change my life. One thing that I did in Kansas City in the late 70s, early 80s was to form an ensemble which performed in the public schools under Arts in Prison. And over the years, I hired, during those 13 years, 2 very gifted pianists whom we lost to AIDS before there was any drug or cure. That was an amazing experience, to meet people who had those problems and love them and perform with them. The last amazing experience, right after I retired, I was asked to play for the prison choir just outside of Kansas City in Lansing, Kansas. That choir had been going a few years. The director had retired, but in the meantime, the warden was so enamored with the whole thing, they had started Arts in Prison. And they had volunteers like myself and my husband who would drive me out there every Tuesday to sing as volunteer tenors and bassists did with the men. And it had brought poets, people to teach language arts, drama. They did Shakespeare one time, guitar, the list goes on. That changed my life and my husband's life. And I still miss our guys. So music has led me in amazing places, thanks to the marvelous people along the way. So when we came and sat in this space, the first time we looked at each other and we knew that we had found a group who lives out making the world whole, which is what we believe.
Singing has always been a significant part of my life. From joining the school chorus in the 8th grade to voice lessons in high school and then into adulthood, there has seldom been a time in my life when I wasn't singing with one group or another. And because I so thoroughly enjoy the experience, I've always thought of it as something in my life that came closest to touching me in a spiritual way. But for years, I didn't question why that was. It was about 25 years ago that I began studying and practicing meditation. For a while, I managed to compartmentalize singing and meditation, one that existed in groups that I sang with, and one that I did in solitary at home. This continued until I began to realize how intricately connected the two of them are. I'd always wondered why I would drag myself to rehearsals, tired and unfocused after a long workday, only to come home energized and subtly excited. There are good reasons for this. The goal of meditation is to help create a state of relaxation and provide a sense of tranquility, all of which helps one to have enhanced physical and emotional well-being. Singing is a joyful experience, a way of expressing something ineffable that goes beyond words. So how is it that these two separate activities can enjoy such an intricate connection? First of all, both of them are breath-driven. Meditation by focusing on breathing and coming back to that focus when thoughts intrude. And singing by the natural formation of tone through one's breath. Proper breathing technique is central to good singing. Also, a key part of meditative practice is to keep yourself in the present moment, whatever technique you use to continually bring yourself back to it, back to your breathing. In singing, one's focus is always in the moment of the musical beat. Singers are expected to be familiar enough with the music and the director's preparation to anticipate what lies ahead in the musical score. But the true focus is on the director's movements and the production of sound in each beat of music. As an ensemble singer, I also continually listen to the sounds around me and try to blend my own voice well enough into the group sound that I cannot hear my own voice as too distinctive a component of it. This is another way of keeping my focus on what is happening in the moment. Finally, just as meditation delivers an enhanced sense of physical well-being, singing can help improve mental alertness by delivering more oxygenated blood to the brain. The Alzheimer's Society has a Singing for the Brain program to help people with dementia maintain their memories. It's little wonder that rehearsals send me home feeling refreshed and physically rejuvenated. This is why I consider singing my spiritual experience and why I enjoy the meaningfulness of the line, "How can I keep from singing?"
I don't sing in public, except Sundays at UCE where my voice gets lost in the crowd. I don't know how to play an instrument. I have no formal musical training, but music has had as much to do with me becoming who I am as reading or talking to people or computers and telephones. In the 1950s, Gramps, my mother's father, would sometimes invite my older sister and me for the weekend. He was a history teacher who lived in Detroit. He read to us Mark Twain and the Story of Opal, and we could stay up all the way until 11 p.m. and watch the lights of the Golden Tower of the Fisher Building go out. He was a devout atheist, reverent about classical music. We were quiet on Saturday afternoon while he played 78 RPM records on his high-end hi-fi. Sometimes we went to a concert or stage performance like Hansel and Gretel by the real Engelbert Humperdinck. When I was 12, I listened to Karl Haas. He played the second movement of Beethoven's Pathetique Sonata live on his studio piano every weekday, and he explained how music worked. I listened with my mother, one of the decreasing number of connections we still had in my 7th grade. In college, I got a job at the West Quad Library at the University of Michigan. I clicked the little counter to keep track of how many guys came in and played music in the hours after dinner. It was just one room with dark wood panels and large stuffed leather seating. It had the best stereo in the whole building and record albums, lots of them. The classical selection filled up one big wall. I decided on a thematic approach: Piano Concerto Week and Romantic Symphony Month. My friends and I discussed why Lalo wrote a concerto called Symphonie Espagnole, and was the St. Organ Symphony really a concerto? The backs of album covers were almost as good as Karl Haas. I had a key and could go in at whatever crazy time my friends and I were awake in college. We talked about getting older and how terribly strange it would be to turn 70. We imagined that we might look back like Bob Dylan's dream and remember laughing and joking till the early hours of the morn. I read Hiroshima by John Hersey and listened to Peter, Paul, and Mary and thought about war. Should we take our place on the Great Mandela? We all had to decide separately what to do about the draft. Sometimes we sang Suzanne with Judy Collins. In the 1980s, I played Free to Be You and Me and It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood for young Tony and Katie way too many times. In the 1990s, I was able to help the conductor of Ann Arbor's finest a cappella vocal group by sitting in various spots during dress rehearsal to say if the balcony or stained glass windows muffled the altos or made the sopranos seem shrill. I have learned a lot about patience by listening to the space between the notes of Spiegel in Spiegel by Arvo Pärt while scraping 80 years of paint off the beautiful mahogany doors in my 1926 Chicago home, one chip and one note at a time. About 3 years ago, my friend Linda and I began to exchange musical emails across 250 miles of I-94 using YouTube. She sent me her favorite Renaissance and Baroque, and I sent Respighi, Gorecki, and Olafur Arnalds, and our tastes began to meet in the Romantic period. Clearly, music has nurtured my spirit and has made my world feel more whole. That includes singing on Sunday mornings with my friends at UCE.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Whether sung by a child from a sunshine band, a jack-legged preacher, or a president whose words evoke a universal feel and reaction in the Black church, a sacred idiom that is widely understood. It's the call evoking a known response. It's the music that helps frame the service, the ceremony, the ritual. During slavery, Black ownership or possession of drums and trumpets was forbidden because Black religious music centered around dreams of freedom. The melodies often came from folk songs, and because there were no hymnals, call and response was used. So the preachers were at times the congregational choir leaders. In more recent times, when Martin Luther King toured the South holding civil rights meetings with music provided by Mahalia Jackson, Mavis Staples and the Staples Singers, and Aretha Franklin, who accompanied her father, the Reverend C.L. Franklin, the Black praise houses or churches provided a safe space for the community where praise singing and dancing could take place. In 1963, when Mahalia Jackson attended Martin Luther King's March on Washington and sang so beautifully and powerfully, she told Dr. King, "Tell him about the dream, Martin." And with that, Martin Luther King went off script and told us about the dream. Reverend King called Mahalia Jackson a blessing to him. At his Atlanta funeral, Mahalia Jackson sang Martin's favorite hymn, "Precious Lord, take my hand." Songwriter W.C. Handy said, "Spirituals did more to free my people than all the guns of the Union." Black praise music has moved from the 19th century's sorrow sounds of slavery and deeply felt spirituals to more urban and urbane melodies and rhythms. The spiritual music of my youth was James Cleveland, Roberta Martin, Mahalia Jackson, and Aretha Franklin, whose 1973 album, Amazing Grace, was the biggest-selling album of her career. Now it's Kirk Franklin, CeCe Winans, Yolanda Adams, and many more shouting out on radio and online. And I heartily suggest that all you PBS donors take advantage of your passport privileges and watch Henry Louis Gates' superb piece entitled The Black Church. This is our story, this is our song. You'll learn some more about the fascinating history and music of Black churches in America.
Thank you for all these powerful reflections. Music has been a central aspect of every struggle for justice, from breaking the bonds of slavery to the civil rights movement, and every march, rally, or religious gathering I've ever been a part of. Music can empower a revolution. You may be familiar with the Estonian singing revolution, which began in 1986. Since the late 1800s, Estonia has celebrated an enormous choral festival every 5 years. Tens of thousands of voices join in beloved songs. In the mid-1980s, Estonia harnessed the power of this tradition to declare its independence from the Soviet Union, singing patriotic songs which the Soviets had banned, and putting their bodies in front of Soviet tanks while singing. We close our service today listening to a few moments of the 150th Jubilee of the Estonian Song Festival in 2019. This doesn't give you goosebumps. And if these reflections don't give you goosebumps, hearing 1,000 voices singing in harmony of peace and liberation, I'm not sure what will.
As we extinguish the chalice, please join in saying these words. Though the flame is extinguished, we carry with us the warmth of community, the light of truth, and the fire of commitment until we are together again. And please join in hymn number 108, My Life Flows On.
Life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far-off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth, it liveth. What through the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
Our benediction is by Jean M. Olson. May you be brave enough to expose your aching woundedness and reveal your vulnerability. May you speak your deepest truths, knowing that they will change as you do. May you sing the music within you, composing your own melody, playing your song with all your heart. May you draw, paint, sculpt, and sew, showing the world your vision. May you write letters, poetry, biography, slogans, graffiti, the great novel, laying bare your words to love and hate. May you love even though your heart breaks again and again. And until the end of your days, may your life be filled with possibilities and courage. Let us go making music and making peace.